Guys, look, really appreciate it. We should probably get into it now. Tough love. Let me give you a bit of a wrap on what tough love is. Tough love is just a session. We're going to be going for about 30 minutes. We're going to be going to about 11:30. But it just gives me an opportunity to connect with you guys and really connect with you and, see how I can help you and serve you, work through whatever problems you've got. Now, as it says on the box, tough love is really an opportunity for you guys to share with me what's going on in your life that's holding you back. Because, look, every now and then we all need a little bit of a kick up the arse. And my goal here today is not to abuse you. It's not to make you feel less than. It's not to make you feel unworthy. It's really just to cut through the shit and really break through some of the bullshit excuses that you might be using to hold yourself back. And you might be conscious of the fact that it's a bullshit excuse, or you might go, Kerwin, it's not a bullshit excuse, but this is what it is. And then I can just basically cut it down and turn it into a pile of bullshit for you. Because what I've learned, not just working with myself, working with thousands of clients all over the world now, tens of thousands of clients all over the world now, and even my team and the teams of the teams that I work with in my clients' businesses is, oftentimes people are afraid to tell people the truth, and oftentimes it's the truth that's required to help people transition to the next stage. But oftentimes the truth carries with it a little bit of discomfort, that people don't like to feel in others or themselves, which is often why most people you can't handle the truth, as a great actor once said. So look, my goal today is to have a very honest conversation with you. So please start telling me what your challenges are. Start telling me about the things that are holding you back. Start telling me about perhaps some limiting beliefs that you want to help me overcome. What are your questions? What are the things that you think are holding you back? And let me help you with them so that I can help you transition. But what I will say is this: tension is the chemistry of transformation, and the quality of your, and Anthony Robbins said this best. He's a great man. He said the quality of your life will be in direct proportion with the amount of uncertainty the quality of your life will be in direct proportion with the amount of discomfort you can comfortably live with, or uncertainty. In this case, it's going to be discomfort. My goal is to serve you by looking at your current situation or your question or what's going on for you, and helping you create a little bit of discomfort around your perspective so that you perhaps shift into something new. We want to create a new perspective that will help you move into the next dimension or the next reality that you're trying to create for yourself, for your family, and in your business. So hit me up. Let me know. What are your questions? Hey, we've got Julie, JJ, Rose, SJ, Darren. Good to see you guys. Jennifer McCormack. I'd love to hear what the challenges are that you've got in your life right now. What are the things that you need support with? What are the questions that you've got? Because what I find is questions are the answers, and the better the quality question you have, the better the quality answer I can give you. So without any further ado, I'm going to flip over to Batty Matty. How do you like that? That's his new nickname. I don't know if he likes that or not.
I like it. All right, first question. Are you ready for the tough one? It might be tough for you.
Yeah.
Since my mother died in 2003, it's blocked me from wanting to have children. This is from Clinton Polk.
Wow. Since your mother died in 2003, it's blocked you from wanting to have children. Look, I think the challenge with this question is no context. It's challenging from wanting to have children. Look, not everybody wants to have children, but I guess it comes down to the reasons why you don't want to have kids. What was his name? Clinton, if your mother's death has created a little bit of a trauma for you that you don't want to inflict on someone else, look, I think that's quite a normal thing to perhaps consider when you have this experience yourself. Because when your mum died in 2003, I can only imagine that if this has created a block, there's been some kind of trauma for you. So Clinton, when your mum died in 2003, I'm going to assume that you developed a level of pain with the association of what that meant. And I'm going to assume you perhaps reflected on the fact that, well, if I have kids, then at some point my child is going to go through this, and I don't want to put someone else through that. But here's one of the things that I've learned, especially when it comes to the process that you're going through, not just death, but also grief, and then being able to relook at our situation and introduce hindsight into the moment. I feel this is going to sound strange, but I actually feel quite fortunate to have been exposed to a lot of mortality. I've had a number of my friends that have died. I've had a number of people close to me that have died, and that started at a very early age. And so, at first it was actually quite traumatic. Because when you lose a best friend, or when you lose someone that you're incredibly close to, it can be something that's very difficult to deal with if you don't have the right perspective to shape the experience that you're having. And so what I mean by that is, when I first experienced death, it was it was often referenced as something that's really bad. Oh my God, this is terrible, it's traumatic. I remember when my grandmother died, I was very close with her. It was probably one of the hardest periods of my life, because I was experiencing such an incredibly high level of grief and pain that I just didn't know how to resolve. But the beautiful thing is, now in reflection, I look at the time that I had with my grandmother, and I'm so grateful for that experience. I'm so grateful for the lessons that I learned. I'm so grateful for what she gave me, and the mother that she gave me as well. And that in itself has allowed me to, not numb the pain, but regulate the emotions that came up and that may continue to come up from time to time for you, around the thought of your mum's death. Because what you're experiencing right now is loss. And so you're focusing on one side of the equation. And my suggestion to you is you need to now balance that equation out. Because any emotion, any grief, any trauma that becomes trapped in the body that causes issue is really an unbalanced perspective. And the universe is quite incredible in its dynamic, but the universe is constantly seeking balance. And for the most part, it is always in balance. And if it's not, it's looking to correct it very quickly. And so you've actually invited me into your world here to correct the balance in your universe by sharing with you that there's a positive side to your mum passing. And that transition is that, is looking at many things, which is looking at, what was the benefit of the time that you got to spend with your mum? The fact that your mum was here, you are now here. That's an incredibly unselfish act. And so by virtue of you not having children, you might be actually preventing yourself from having an incredible amount of joy that your mum would have experienced by the relationships that she actually had with you. I dare say that you and your mum, by sounds, were quite close, and you enriched her life in so many ways by being her child, and she enriched your life in so many ways by you having her as your mother. And just because she's no longer here now in the physical presence doesn't mean that the lessons that she gave you, the experience that you gave you, are no longer valid. They're more valid now than ever. And when you consider the amount of richness that you possibly gave to her life, that might be worth the reflection for you, and start considering for yourself that there is an enormous amount of richness and development and growth and life that is available in the process of having kids. So I'm going to leave it there for you, Clinton, but I'm going to suggest that you perhaps start looking at what were the greatest things that came out of the relationship that you had with your mum. And by virtue of her dying, none of that has to go. But that is something that you can bring back into focus, not in the traumatic sense that it's gone, but what has she left with you? She's been an incredible part of the journey that's made you who you are today. And without her in your life, you wouldn't be who you are today. And it's important that you acknowledge that and realize that there's an enormous amount of beauty in death, especially when you understand that, death is merely a physical thing. It's not energetic. Energy, one of the laws of thermodynamics is energy cannot be created or destroyed. It just changes form, and your mum now has changed form. She's still around you in her presence. Her traits, I'm sure if you're conscious enough and you allow yourself to see it, there are different personality traits that probably, mimic her that are showing up in other people around you. So don't discount the opportunity of the growth that's available to you and the experience that you got by not only having a mother, but also being a son, and the experience that your mother had, not just by being a mother, but also having a son. And really look at the richness of that connection and the lessons that were gained, and give yourself the opportunity to consider, maybe this is something that I might want to explore myself, because the relationships in life only become really important when we potentially lose them. And the older you get, the less relationships you will have. And the beautiful thing about growing a family is it gives you the opportunity to have greater quality relationships over a longer period of time if they're treated the right way. So Clinton Pope, good luck with that, my friend. Not an easy one, but it's certainly an incredible one for you to go through, mate. I wish you all the very best. All right,
awesome.
Who's next?
So we got a lot of good ones.
Give me someone I can beat up.
We'll do 30 to 60 seconds max now, because we've got a lot of good ones.
Yeah, right.
All right, Kim Hoffman.
Kim Hoffman. Hey, Kim.
I feel like I'm too old to change jobs and really can't figure out what I should be doing.
You are too old to change jobs. Come on, for fuck's sake. It's never a question of age. It's never a question of time. It's always a question of the value that you can bring to the situation. If you have the ability to bring value to a situation, it comes down to your ability to communicate that, in a clear and effective way to the people who you might be interested in working for. Just because you're at a certain age, just because you've been in a certain profession for a certain period of time, doesn't mean that you need to die with the music inside. When you look at, Henry Ford, 52 before he went out on his own and started, Ford Motor Cars. When you look at what's his name, the Colonel, KFC, I think he was 66 when he first decided to get on the Kentucky bandwagon and start selling his 7 secret herbs and spices. There are so many references for so many people at such a late stage in life who have been able to create incredible success, not just in other businesses by creating businesses, but also in other roles that they enjoy. Life is too short to do the things that you don't enjoy, my friend. Do the things that light you up. Find the way. have faith, and everything will be taken care of. But stop fucking around. That's a bullshit excuse, and I don't mean to be rude to you because that is not my intent. But my intent is here to really shake your cage and go, that's just a crap excuse. But it's not, and it's one that is handed around and passed around by many people. But treat it like a hot potato. Grab that excuse and fucking throw it away, and start diving in. You got this. It's yours. Show me. Let me know in the next week what you're going to do about it.
Shelly Bird.
Shelly.
My fear is calling people. Before this business, I didn't call people. Now I stumble and sound like a fool.
No, you don't sound like a fool. You sound like someone who's practicing. And, phoning people, outreach, phone sales, using the telephone, is not a skill that everyone is equipped with from birth. It's not something that you're taught how to do at school. This is a skill that needs to be practiced and learned. And no doubt when you try something you can't do well, it's going to feel deeply uncomfortable and you're going to feel you look like an idiot. I guarantee the first time you tried to ride a bike without training wheels, you probably felt like an idiot. And I guarantee the first time you tried to learn a different language or a musical instrument or a different sport, you probably looked a little bit like an idiot. So you don't look like an idiot, you just look like someone who's learning. And the way that you get good at any skill is through practice. So my advice is, rather than using this as a block to get on the phone, use this as a reason to get on the phone because you're practicing. And the way that you get good at anything is through practice. So stop fucking around, get on the phone, set yourself a target of 100 dials every single day. That is easy. 100 dials at a minimum every single day, if that's what your role is in the business, okay, being on the telephone. Because I promise you, if you're doing 100 dials a day, you're going to have about 20 conversations, 20 to 30 conversations a day. And if you do that for 6, 7, 8 weeks, I promise you by the end of 8 weeks, you're going to be about 5 to 6 to 700, and maybe even 1,000% better. And I'm not kidding when I say this, than you are right now. But the only way that you get better is by practicing. And stop beating yourself up. Can you imagine what it would have been like if, when you were learning to walk, you'd stand up and you're like trying to find your balance and you fell over? And then you start to go, well, fuck that, I'm not going to walk. Clearly, I'm not cut out for this world as a walker. I'm just going to be a crawler for the rest of my life. You would have never even contemplated that because you didn't have the beliefs in your mind to doubt yourself at that point. As a child, you just pursue the things that you want to do because that's access to the next level. Okay, I'm crawling around now, but everyone can move so quickly. I need to be able to keep up. So I'm determined to learn how to walk so I can keep up with everyone else. Learning how to do this is a part of your journey. And in order for you to evolve, qualify for the next stage, you've got to practice you got to learn how to walk. But just be gentle with yourself. Debrief after every single call. What did I do well? What did I do not so well? And how can I improve? What's the one thing I'm going to do on the next call to improve? Not what are the 10 things, just one. And you'll get better. I promise. Focus on that.
Do you want to talk to a single dad or someone that can't lose weight?
I like single dads, but not like that. Not a creepy way.
Being a single dad, tackling raising kids while running a business, but suffering with anxiety.
Whew. Yeah.
He just feels low all the time.
What's his name?
This guy's Matt Hadalake.
Matt. Look, I know what it's like to be a single dad. You use the plural of kids, so I'm going to assume you've got multiple grubs. I've only got one child, Noah, who's a 5-year-old that I co-parent as a single father. I do have support from time to time in the form of a nanny, but I do understand the work involved. Like my mum, who's on here, who's an incredible lady, she often provides me great sobriety in moments where I become emotional. Like, shit, how the hell do people do this? And then I think about my mum, and I'm like, my mum actually did this with 2 boys by herself, with almost, in most cases, almost no support. And so that is sobering enough for me to bring me back and go, look, if your mum can do it with 2 kids, you've only got 1. Stop being a little bit of a, let's not whinge about it. Let's kind of slap ourselves around the face and let's suck it up, princess, because you've actually got it pretty fucking good. But the reality is, raising a child or raising children and running a business is hard. I am someone that has suffered from severe anxiety before, and every now and then it still comes back. It's not something that you become cured of. It's not something you become immune of. It's just something you learn how to deal with, more effectively. So the suggestion that I'd give you is find the video that we have on stress regulation. Because it's not only going to help you learn how to breathe, which is also going to help you learn how to manage your stress, but it's also going to help you learn how to manage your emotions so that you can become a lot more conscious and a lot more present. And that makes you a better parent. It makes you a better business person. It makes you a better leader. It makes you actually a better person. One of the things that I find helps me at a really high level, mate, is meditation. Meditation helps reset me so that I'm a lot more emotionally stable for my son. So I'm a lot more emotionally stable. I'm able to make better decisions in the business as well. So for me, I would be really curious to encourage you. I would really encourage you to be curious about exploring meditation and finding some of the videos that I've got on meditations, finding some of the videos that I've got on stress and emotional regulation, but also understanding that, mate, you can only do the best that you can do. And one of the things that I still am working on is whenever I have a bad day as a dad or I have a bad moment as a dad, I beat myself up pretty harshly. I'm my worst critic. You know, like the other day I was feeling absolutely wrecked. And so I sat down on the couch with my son and we watched TV together for about 4.5 hours, maybe 5 hours over the course of the entire day. And at the end of the day, I literally felt like the worst parent in the world. And I know in contrast, you know, it's like that's laughable for some people, but for me, I have such a high value on connection and quality time and not using screens to augment a child's, you know, experience in life and brain, too frequently, that I actually felt really bad and I beat myself up about it. But, you know, I had to reflect on it and go, you know what? I'm doing the best that I can. Some days I am going to fall. You know, some days I raise my voice at my son. You know, and the first thing I do, and I'm very good on this, is I apologize straight away. I'm not a smacker. I'm not a physical discipliner. But every now and then, you know, the world gets the better of me, and I do raise my voice. It's rare for me to scream, but if I raise my voice and I see that look on my son's face as his heart's about to break as I'm raising my voice, it just resets the button because there's a level of presence that allows me to see what's going on in his experience that just brings me back, because the value of being a father is so high. It's a lot easier for me to get out of my ego and go, mate, I'm so sorry. Daddy didn't mean to raise his voice. You know, he's just a little bit frustrated. I'm sure you know what it's like to be frustrated, and I apologize. Can you help me? You know, can you help me perhaps, you know, maybe not do that next time? And 100% of the time he'll hug me and he'll look at me and go, that's okay, Daddy, I forgive you. And that's the beautiful thing. And the beautiful thing is, not only is it allowing me to be a better father, it's allowing him to become a better human being as well, because he's seeing what it looks like to own and take responsibility for things for the mistakes that we make. So, Matt, I wish you very well on your journey. I know it's a tough one, but it is the most rewarding one. But really, you know, find the things that are important enough to you to focus on the things that you need to do that allow you to be the person that shows up, you know, with the highest level of awareness in the moments that matter, so that you can really, you know, be, you know, who you need to be in those moments. And without trying to convolute what I just said, just do the best you can in the moments that you've got. And when you make a mistake, just admit it and own it and apologize. And start again. That's the best that we can do. Thank you, mate. I appreciate it. So now we are moving over to Tough Love lightning round. We are going over to Instagram now. So if you are not on Instagram, please get onto Instagram right now, because we are going to do Tough Love, but we're going to be doing Tough Love lightning round, where I answer quick questions super fast. And you guys get to be a part of that as well. So jump over to Instagram right now. Let me know what your questions are on Instagram, so that we can jump right in, get going, and make it nice and sexy. So what we might do is we might leave Facebook on for a few more minutes as we transition over. Are we live?
Yeah.
We are live. Well done, Matty. We're looking at you. There we go. Whoa, no, that's not it. Look, it's over here. Okay. Honestly, I should give you guys, there we go. I should give every person in the world hope when you see me use technology. Oh, he's a social media and technology whiz. I've been doing lives now for I don't know how long, and I still fucking struggle to turn them on.
All right, so Salesian Instagram.
Salesian?
Salesian. How do you stop absorbing others' negative emotions?
Ooh, okay. Salesian?
Yep.
Salesian. I'm going to call you Sal. Yeah. Sal, how do we stop from absorbing other people's negative emotions? Okay, so I'm going to assume you're a little bit of an empath. An empath is someone who is high-level empathic at a sensory level, and they tend to be very sensitive to other people's emotions. Lo and behold, you're very lucky. You're talking to a bit of an empath here. I was born with the gift, which at one point I felt like was a curse, that I could feel everything going on in my environment. And sometimes that can be quite overwhelming, but it's learning how to disassociate from the environment from an emotional perspective, but not from an energetic perspective. So for me personally, you know, as I've said many times before, meditation is a huge part of my game. You know, mindfulness, you know, self-awareness, consciousness is a big part of my game, big part of my, you know, what it is that I do and what the things that I practice. And the more self-conscious I become, the more intuitive I am, and obviously the more sensitive I am to the information in my environment. But it's learning how to disassociate and go, okay, that's not mine, that's theirs. Okay, this isn't, you know, in some cases you might start feeling anxiety from someone who's around you, and it's really important to go, okay, I'm feeling anxious right now, but I've got no reason, there's no story running here to justify the anxiety that I feel. So, you know, at this point you say to yourself, okay, this isn't mine. And at this point you say, this isn't mine, I give it back. This isn't mine, I give it back. And you find your center. You breathe, you still regulate as what you would if you were dealing with any form of, anxiety that was triggered within the brain or any kind of emotions that were triggered within you. But ultimately, you let it go and you give it back. But one of the things that I hear a lot from empaths is they often isolate, or they often allow the energy and the information around them to be used in a very negative context. You've got an incredible gift. You need to wake up to that fact. You've got an incredible gift. You've just got to learn how to use it. With great power comes great responsibility. No one gave you the user's manual. So Google empaths. Start reading and researching some articles on empaths and how to deal with empathic energy. Because my advice is there's no excuse. There's so much fucking information out there now for empaths to learn how to regulate and manage not just their own energy, but the energy from the environment, that there really is no excuse for you not to learn how to manage this and develop your own user's manual. Good luck with that.
All right, business related. Sketch 272.
Sketchy!
47 years old and just started up my first business, and I can't leave my employees to work on their own.
Why? There are no bad teams, only bad leaders. Ooh, bang! I know you didn't want to probably hear that. There's a great book you can read by Jocko Willink called Extreme Ownership. There are no bad teams, only bad leaders. The reason you can't leave your team on their own is probably twofold. Number one, you've either hired the wrong team, you've hired staff, not talent, or you haven't developed or empowered or trained your team, okay, to be able to have the skills and the empowerment to be able to run that business without you. And by the way, that's probably one of the biggest things that I hear from business owners is they don't, they're constantly being pulled back into the business. And that's why you've got to understand scale equals freedom. If you don't scale your business, you're never going to be free. And right now you have trouble scaling because you've got team, but you haven't got independence. You've got team, but you haven't got freedom. And that is because you've got cultural issues. You've got leadership issues. You need to learn how to lead in a way that empowers people to not only be able to do their job at a high level, okay, but empowers them to also make decisions that give you a level of freedom, okay, which comes with the relinquishment of control. But if we go back to the first thing I said is, you need to really look at the people you've got on the ground. And if you don't have the right people in the right seats on the right bus, then perhaps you need to look at your recruitment strategy, because it all starts with recruitment. Because, I say there's no bad teams, there's only bad leaders, but at the same time, you need to be able to recruit the right team to lead that is going to be open to your leadership style. How do we recruit the right team? We look for people not just with skills and talents, but we look for people who have attitude and values and things that are aligned with the things that are important to you. So you've got to get very clear on your purpose. You've got to get very clear on your mission. You've got to be very clear on your values. So in the recruitment process, when you ask questions, you can start to elicit the things that are important of others and start to see if they're aligned with you. If getting things done and focusing on the result is important to you, you'll find that out in an interview if you ask the right questions. And if that's a value to you, that's going to be something that's very important in the people that you hire. So good luck with that. It's not about you, it's about them, which means it's all about you. Nice. So good luck with that.
All right, we only have one question left to go.
One to go.
Kathy V1234.
Kathy V1234. Congratulations, you can count.
This is an interesting one. How do I not feel like a deficit with a shit-ass genetic chronic illness?
How do you not feel like a deficit with a shit-ass chronic illness? You're a human being. And you have the ability to affect this world not just through your actions, but also through the space that you hold in this place. And what I mean by that is, if you look at Stephen Hawking's, he's probably the greatest example of someone who got a shit deal. He got a really shit deal. He was, ALS. He was diagnosed with a disease and given, I think, 6 months or maybe 2 years to live, and he ended up living another 50, 60 something years. You can Google it if I'm wrong and fucking tell me. But my point being is, even in his chronic state of illness, he was able to deliver enormous value to the world. Not just through his intellect, but also through his insights, his understandings and his perspective and his point of view. Now, you might go, well, I'm not Stephen Hawking, I'm not a physicist. Yeah, but you're you, okay? And you have things that you're interested in, you have things that are important to you, and you have the ability to communicate with the world around you and the people that you know in a way that lifts them up. And that in itself can become quite inspirational when you look at the situation you're in, and regardless of your situation, you allow yourself to, go out and add value in the world in some way, shape or form, even if it's doing lives on Facebook with 1 or 2 people watching. If you're affecting 1 or 2 people in the world, you're affecting 1 or 2 people in the world. Every time I get a message from someone, whose life that I've saved on the verge of suicide, where they've got the pill, they've got bottles of pills, they've got whatever, they're ready to jump, and all of a sudden they're about to say their goodbye on Facebook, they get one of my videos, and it takes them off the ledge, and I get a message, and it's like, wow. What I do is worth it. If I just save one person, and now we've saved dozens of people, and it's not about me, but this is about you understanding, I've got 3 brain injuries and a physical disability. Thankfully, I feel very, very, very blessed that I don't have chronic illness, okay? But I do know people who do have chronic illness that still are quite successful in the things that are important to them. I do know a guy who has no arms and no legs, and he's still built an incredible business where he's affecting other people's lives. There is no excuse. There There is no reason not to. There is only an excuse that you're using, which is completely bullshit. Start exploring and studying people with chronic illness who have done great things, people with disability who've done great things, and use that as inspiration to drive you forward and give you the reference points that you can do it too. You've got this. You can do it. Just stop fucking around and get out of the excuses. Get out of your head. Get into your heart and share with the world what it is that you love to do. My name is Kerwin Ray. This has been Tough Love. You guys are amazing. Let me know, where are you from? I'm going to wrap up now, but I would really love for those of you who are watching it now who haven't let me know where in the world that you're from, but also who are going to watch this in the replay. Yes, someone's asking, do you have or are you writing a book? Ooh, am I writing a book? Ooh, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe something's coming this year. You just don't know. Hustle Sprouts, that's an amazing name. You guys are awesome. Say, whatever you do, get rid of the excuses. Cut the bullshit. Do what you want to do, as long as it's not going to harm you or anyone else, and get on with life. It's too short not to be living. Say hi to your mum for me. Take care. Bye-bye now.